Tanse Jesse Cardinal Netsigasun Kikino Tsenia. I'm Jesse Cardinal. I'm from the community of Kikino, located in Treaty 6 territory. I'm serving as the executive director for Keepers of the Water. Keepers of the Water is an Indigenous-led organization that works to protect water. Part of water is food security. So all of the food that we grow, that we eat, all of it needs water to grow. And so it's directly related. What we're seeing in Indigenous communities is a resurgence of language, culture, ceremony, songs, and growing food. Historically, Indigenous people were self-sufficient. They stewarded the land since millennia. I have heard stories of how clean and plentiful everything was. The waters were clean, the land was clean, there were many animals, berries, fish. I've been told of how everything was bigger, like the animals were bigger, the trees were bigger, the fish. Through colonization, Indigenous people were forcibly and violently removed from the land, and that included the ability to harvest and grow food and care for the food and care for the animals. On the First Nations, on the reserve system, it got so bad that the Indian agents controlled what people could grow, how much they could grow. So it was never an issue of Indigenous people not having the knowledge, the ability, or the skill. Indigenous people from Turtle Island are some of the hardest working people in the world. It was about an agenda, a violent colonial agenda to get the land and the resources. Another story I've been told was because they introduced this welfare system where they forced Indigenous people to be dependent. And so every month you would get food rations because they violently locked them onto these small plots of land. You had to have a pass to leave called the pass system. And the Indian agent who lived on whatever reserve there was would go around and look at people's gardens. And if people's gardens were doing well, that means that they got less food rations. So nobody ever got ahead. You weren't allowed to sell your food. You weren't allowed to trade your food. It was just a part of the violent colonial genocidal history of Canada. Well, today things are changing. We are reclaiming our languages. We are reclaiming our culture. We are reclaiming our land. And so part of that comes with growing food. We are going to be self-sufficient again. And so many people, Indigenous people in our communities, are either starting their own gardens, they're starting community gardens, and they're even starting big scale operations that can feed the community or to get into an economy. So there's a community called Flying Dust First Nation in Saskatchewan. They grow potatoes on a big scale and they sell those potatoes to local grocery stores. That is one of the main ways that we have been controlled and still controlled today is through our food. We need to have access to food. So we need to have access to our vegetables, our fruits, roots, and our animals. We need to understand why it's so important to have land and access to clean water for all Indigenous people, because our diets are still moose, deer, ducks, geese, like all of these things that are on the land, they're part of our diet. So this project that Keepers of the Water is doing, food security in Indigenous communities, this is a project that is funded by Indian Collective. And what we're looking at doing is highlighting the need for food security, doing some teachings, and we'll also be doing a gathering either in person or online. And through that gathering, we will be having draws for greenhouses. So there's a few greenhouses that we will be raffling off. You will have to attend the gathering to have your name entered in the draw. And you have to, part of it is we want it to be Indigenous people living in their communities. So this video is an educational tool. It can be used in schools, community meetings, community workshops. In the video is a family from Kikino, located in Treaty 6 territory. Leona Cardinal Nee Thompson is the elder speaking. Her daughter, Leanne Sanderson, is the other speaker in the video, and then the grandchildren. And they have been growing for a few years now. And when I went to their home, I was amazed at how big their garden was. And so I started asking questions, and they have a few sons and Leanne and a couple of daughters, and then all the grandchildren. And so what they're talking about is that as a family, a collective, they take care of this big garden. So they all help out in the planting, in the weeding, in the watering, and in the harvesting. And so that's an example of food security, and what I think and I believe is a good model for other families to do. In all the Cree teachings that I've been learning along the way, what the elders are saying, because we ask, well, how do we do this? How do we start learning our language? How do we start learning our culture? And they have all been telling us it starts in your home. So start in your home with your children. And that's the key to food security, is starting in your own yard, in your own home.
My name is Leona Cardinal. This is my land. And my husband and I decided one time a few years ago, that we would start building up for a garden. And we decided we'll go through 50-50 through our office, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we got the fence built first. The first thing to do is build your fence. Because this was already cleaned. We had used it before, but not all of it. And then this one lady, Mrs. Shell, she gave me like ornaments for in the garden, and some of these plants here. These red plants here, I got those from deceased Rita Hope. And I got some tiger lilies from my granddaughter. So things started to grow. And I got this tree from up at the church. Then my husband and Rick for the last few years, they were tilling the ground. We bought tillers. And then this past year, Philip McNamara came around with his machine, pulling with it by a tractor, and we used that, and that's how we tilled our ground here. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with how everything grew, because the ground was softer, not as hard.
Yeah.
And then they would, my husband and them would water it, and the kids would all come along and grab containers and run down the rows and water.
When did you guys start planting?
Was in May. After the 24th, people used to say you plant your potatoes. So that's what we did then. But it was kind of a cold spring.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything was going to grow. But I'm glad they put the seed in. These vegetable seeds. And we'll see, we improved. We bought a new tiller to go in between the rows.
How often do you guys till the garden?
I think Rick was doing it 2 to 3 times a year.
Oh, that's it?
Rows.
Well, how does it stay so clean, like no weeds in between everything?
That's one of the reasons that happens, eh?
Yeah.
And seeing it got watered, In between, like there's weeds in between there, but we just leave them because they're pulled out anyway when they take out the potatoes. Yeah, I canned a lot of beans already and peas that we grew from over in that area. And I did some onions. I plant those separate. I freeze them.
You freeze your onions?
Yeah, I wash them. And then I like the green and white ones. But these here, no, these are Leona. Every year she plants hundreds of onions.
So it's kind of like a family garden then, like
Yeah.
you and your children and grandchildren all.
They're the ones that help. We bought 2 wheelbarrows. We gather all the old things like the old tubs. We plant potatoes in there. And all these, I bought 15 pails like that has right there called Home Hardware. And these I had got from the beach. And we use them for water. And now we put tomatoes in there, but I don't know, the tomatoes didn't grow for us this year. But they're still in the pail anyway. Big wind came and blew, snapped them on top.
So when you guys first planted, Uncle, or you were saying you were watering every day to get things growing?
Well, at first it was cold, eh? So, but it didn't take long. Started to warm up, and then when the plants started coming out of the ground, because there was enough moisture in the ground for the plants to come up, eh? Once they came up, he started hoeing. He hoed them right away. That's the first time, like first year, that he hoed them right away. And we started cleaning the boxes where we planted carrots.
How often do you have to weed the boxes with the carrots?
Just when they first start coming up. Like after they get up big like this, we don't bother them.
And when you're seeding, do you just put one seed at a time, or do you just put a whole bunch in a row?
When I put in the carrots, I put them in strips. They're in those strips of, I don't know how many you count in there. There's quite a few of them anyway.
Oh, okay.
They're on a cloth
Yeah.
of some kind. That's what we use for the carrots.
And then what about your beets? Do you just put them all close together and then
The
weed
beets,
them out?
they just went along and did that. I didn't do it, but they did. And they're the long kind. I used to always put the round ones,
Yeah.
but these are the long ones, and I think they're easier to handle. Like cleaning them, and my daughter-in-law is going to can them for us. Those will be canned, the carrots will be frozen, and some of my onions are frozen, and let's see, what else do I freeze?
So you can freeze your onions and
I
put them
do.
in the freezer and then use them for cooking?
Yeah.
How do you freeze them? Like in a
I
bag
just
or?
wash them, and then I cut them up and put them in baggies and freeze them in there. Like for your daily use, you put them in a bag, and then the next bag, if you need some more, you just open the fridge, take them out, or freezer, thaw them out, and use them.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to go to all the trouble of water coming out of your eyes.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you could freeze onions.
I didn't either. My deceased sister-in-law, Velma Shirt, told me that. And then I never wasted onions. Like these here are not mine. She lets them grow, and the tails get real big and thick, eh? But I don't use those. For cooking, I use them when they're young.
The green onions you're talking
Yeah.
about. What about the yellow onions and stuff? Do you
Like
freeze those too?
the onion tail,
Yeah,
I don't let them grow big like these here.
yeah.
I take them when they're just a few weeks old. They're up. That's when I work with them because they're tender.
But the yellow onions, do you freeze those too?
Like these here?
Like, yeah, the actual head of the onion.
No, just the small
Oh.
ones I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
cut all the head up real small.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the way I do it.
So who does the weeding?
Leanne and her dad, they were doing the onions, like doing all the weeding.
So do you think having a garden, like, it helps save on food costs for
Yes,
the family?
it does. Because for us, it saved us on onions, potatoes, carrots, the peas and the beans, and the beets. And what else do we have there that's planted? Oh, zucchini, and it's a family thing. Like my daughter-in-law and my son, they put their garden down there on that end a little bit. And Leanne helps her dad and Rick. They all chip in when it's time to water up. That's where they all help.
And then harvesting, so you guys are starting to take out onions.
Yeah.
And then, so now that it's mid-August, are you guys gonna start slowly taking stuff
Yeah,
out
we
every
will.
day or every week?
Every day we'll try and take something because the peas and beans, there's always lots of them, eh?
Yeah.
And they're, you can pick those every day. They seem to come back. Anyway, and then we still have to water,
Yeah.
like all those that's in that box. But those boxes will be coming down this year for next year because the material's starting to rot on there from being wet.
So
that'll be done.
your peas and your carrots, you guys freeze them?
Yeah, I do. The yellow ones, though, I want someone to make mustard pickles.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to see how that goes.
And then your potatoes, how do you guys store them?
In the basement, we got no other. It's the only closest cellar there we have. After they're really dry, we bag them.
And they last throughout the
We
winter?
stand them up in the corner somewhere where it's cool. And we give them away to our kids. They're usually gone by after New Year's. Usually not much left. My husband loves gardening. I love doing flowers, so this is the beginning of my flower garden.
Well, I remember old Musham used to have a big potato garden.
Yeah, he just loved seeding potatoes and growing them out there all by himself.
Well, wasn't he in his 90s and he was still out there doing
Late
his garden?
80s anyway, for sure.
And they had to kind of keep an eye on him so he wouldn't overwork himself, eh?
That's for sure. That's why these kids help because of their dad, eh? He's going to be 81. But you know, I think gardening is a good thing for an elder. Like it doesn't have to be hard work. If there's any hard work, you just get your kids to come do it. I still say thank you to Philip McNamara for coming to do our garden for us with his machine.
So when you guys take everything out, will you disc it up again before winter?
Usually do. Or if we can't get the disc, we'll just till it. So although it's better to disc it, tilling it with these tillers, it doesn't go as deep. Everybody should have a little garden. Mostly vegetables, but if they're like me, I want to have flowers and other things like that.
We usually plant, I'll buy about 5 or 6 bags of onion bulbs. I'll get yellow, white, purple or red, whatever color they call them. And usually there's roughly at least 80 onion bulbs in each bag.
Yeah.
And we plant, and then as they grow and they get bigger, then whenever somebody needs an onion, they come out to the garden and they pull one.
Do you guys, so you till in between
Yes.
the rows?
Yes,
How
we do.
often do you guys till?
My brother Rick does that, and I can't remember how often he comes. I think every maybe 3 weeks. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that
Because
part.
it's so nice. Like this is, you know.
We
a
had
nice-
it tilled up. We had someone come in with their machine,
Yeah.
like pulling it behind a little tractor, and they tilled it all up because the year before we lost everything we had in the garden
How?
from all the rain,
Oh.
and the water wouldn't drain out.
Uh-huh.
So finally, when it did stop raining, the ground went hard and nothing grew. So what we did was we got the tubs and planted potatoes, and that's pretty much what we got last year. This year it's much better.
Yeah. Did you have to haul in any dirt at all?
We did put some mixed manure
Oh,
in with
okay.
it.
So this is onions,
Yes.
and then those are beans?
These are beans. Yeah, that's my mom's wildflowers that she grows.
And do you guys have to come weed in between it all?
This year, very little. We didn't have to do a whole lot because when we were watering, we made sure just to water on the rows where the onions were,
Yeah.
and not in between, because as soon as the ground's wet in between, then the weeds were coming up.
And you're
So-
starting to harvest your
Yes,
onions?
we're starting to harvest. That's how come we haven't been.
So do you
weeding.
use the green part and the onion bulb
You
too?
can, yeah, you can. But usually my mom grows in the boxes. She'll grow her own for the green tail, and us, we just grow for the bulb.
Oh, okay. Do you store them or you just use them
We
right away?
we hang them.
Oh,
We
okay.
hang them up, and whoever needs, they come and they take
Yeah.
them home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So these are all beans?
Yes, these are all green beans. We did plant a row of yellow. Some are coming out now. They're coming out a little bit late. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, yeah.
But even with these, we thought we weren't going to get any, and then all of a sudden one day we just had a whole bunch. They start growing. And so we've picked, I don't know how many times already, and as you can see, we still need to pick
So when
again.
you plant, do you plant them close together?
I space them like about so far apart. I can't remember the exact.
How do you
Distance?
keep the weeds out? Because I've planted peas and stuff, and
Basically,
The
if you're
weeds
out
just
in your
took
garden
over?
if you're out in your garden every day, you just pluck away at them.
okay.
So it's pretty much like we come out here on a daily basis. So we try weed as much as we can. If you catch it when they're first starting, then you don't have much to do.
Okay.
But if you let it go, then
And
Be
so
a
you
lot of
guys
work.
will start picking all the peas and the beans,
Yes.
and then what do you do with them?
we pick them, and we take them in for my mom, and then she'll blanch them, and then put so many into a baggie, and she freezes them.
And then uses
So
them
there's-
for.
They're set for whatever, however you want to use them, in a soup, a stew.
And then she said she wants to try get the yellow beans canned for
Yes.
mustard pickles or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, that's her favorite. Yeah.
And then you guys were watering this too.
Through the heat wave, yes. We'd wait till late in the evening, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then we'd come out and we'd water then. It's too much if you water them too, like during the day, it just dries up.
Oh, okay.
Right
so
away,
in the
so-
evening.
Yeah, we did it in the evening. We'll pull these, and she'll can, or she'll get someone to help her can. And she loves beets. That's
Yeah,
one of her
canned
favorites.
beets.
Yeah.
And they're so healthy for you
Yes.
too.
Yes, they are. The kids would pull. They'd pull one, and
Yeah.
they'd test it out. They'd
Yeah.
take a bite off of it to see if they like it or not, and then it's their choice.
And then these are
That's my purple beans.
And what do you do with those?
You can can them. You can cook them right. Once you cook them, though, they lose the color. They go back to green.
Oh,
Yeah, they grow purple, but as soon as you cook them, they
so you
lose the
can make
color.
them in like stir fries and stuff.
Probably, yeah. I usually just like them like that. I'll cook them and add a little bit of butter in after,
Okay.
and that's how I eat mine.
And then for the beets, again, it looks like you guys planted close together.
We probably did. Because we plant so much, I can't remember like exactly how we.
Do you have to hoe them, or when you till them, that kind of helps?
That helps there with the dirt.
Yeah.
The dirt flies and builds up around them. The
So
potatoes too.
They have to be about this far apart for the tiller?
Yeah, the tiller has to fit in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a tiller is kind of
It's really
almost
important.
a necessity
Yes.
for a good garden.
Yes, one this big.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you would need it.
And then the corn, you guys haven't been getting corn?
We'll get some, but they don't get really big.
Yeah.
But later on, whenever we take whatever corn is here, what the stalks, we feed to the cows.
Oh, okay.
They like them.
So it's good for the animals anyway.
Nothing gets wasted. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have to pull everything out starting right away then?
Pretty cool.
Because it's mid-August?
yeah, all of the vegetables pretty much will be done. I'm thinking the next few weeks
Yeah.
will be, and then it's just waiting for the other stuff.
Okay. So this is your guys' pumpkin patch.
Yes, it is.
And you guys already have pumpkins now that are growing this big.
Yes. And what we do, well, this year is the first time I tried it. I started the pumpkins early. I bought a starter kit and the seeds, and I started them in April, I think it was, sometime in April. And then I transplanted them after the May long weekend, put them in, and they took.
How many plants?
Oh, I can't remember how many. I had about 12 maybe,
Okay.
something like
This
that.
is awesome. This is what I want to start too, is a pumpkin patch, because then you don't have to buy pumpkins for your kids at Halloween.
Exactly. That's why we're up to about, I don't know, maybe 12 in here. So I'm pretty sure that'll cover the grandkids
Yeah.
for their pumpkins.
Yeah, I did pumpkins one year, and then they're ready just before Halloween.
Yes.
But I'm surprised, like you have some that are big already.
Yeah. That's, I said, that was the first time we did with the transplanting, and
Yeah.
it worked. So I'm thinking if I do it again, that's what I'll do.
And when you guys were watering, you watered?
They need a lot of water. Yeah. Through the heat, we had to water them quite often.
And then you don't till in here, you just cut the grass
We
around
just
it?
I try to keep up with the weeding, but as they spread out, it's kind of hard to get in there to grab them. And then my mom, she tells us when it's time to clip them so that the vines stop going, and then your
okay.
pumpkins will start
Oh,
growing.
okay.
So I didn't know that either, but
So have you guys done that then?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
clipped the vines?
Yeah. My dad just went around and she would tell us, like, look for this, and that's what we would do. I think it was look for a bloom, one of the blossoms.
And you cut the blossom off?
You cut just before it, I think.
Oh, okay.
Just before it.
Oh, so like you would cut
Yeah.
kind of like right here.
In front of it somehow.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
These are, I think, cucumbers.
Oh,
But
okay.
look at there's some in here
wow.
pretty big.
Oh,
Look right on this side.
that's awesome.
They
Holy.
are huge.
She can make cakes and stuff,
Oh,
eh?
yeah. And I think she probably will give some away too, because there's lots.
So this is zucchini
This
here.
is all zucchini
Wow.
here. And a row of onions. They were planted a little bit late, but they're doing good.
Yeah.
They're doing good. And then we have cucumbers.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, they're getting big.
Oh, they're huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with the cucumbers?
I think probably pickle them, can them.
And then this is all potatoes?
That's
in here?
potatoes, but we also had a row of beans.
Oh, okay.
No, peas. I'm sorry. Yeah. We had some seeds left over,
Yeah.
but we didn't have any more room left up in the vegetable garden, so I came down here, and that's what we put them in here.
So the family that plants here, they come and take care of their own,
Yes.
like weeding and watering and
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
And then you guys just cut the grass and then till?
Yeah. Like that's what my brother Rick does. He does all of that. Yeah. And then you could see like the leaves are starting to change color.
Well,
So-
Auntie was saying you guys will pick all the potatoes and then dry them?
Yeah. We'll dig up a row
Uh-huh.
and we'll lay them on the ground, and then they dry. And then we put them into the basement.
Okay.
And usually my dad will pick a random row and he'll go and he'll dig just to see how they're coming along.
Yeah. Well, you guys must have been eating them
Oh
already.
yeah, 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 we did. We started digging out of the tubs already.
Oh, okay.
We've been cleaning those out first.
So it's good to have a gate?
Yeah, should be all fenced off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, dogs, cats, everything
Yeah.
will get in. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
horses and
oh, yeah.
cows.
Well, thanks, Leanne.
You bet.